So thank you so much, everyone, once again for joining the second session of the Salesforce in Channel Management. As in the previous session, we discussed about the sales process. So we have just, put the introductions of the different aspects of the sales process. For example, qualifying prospects, prospecting and qualifying, pre-approach, approach, presentations, demonstrations, overcoming objections, trial, close, closing the sales, and follow-ups and services. In today's session, we will be going through each process, and then we will also discuss about the various selling theories. So let us take one by one. For example, prospecting and qualifying. Prospecting are the customer who are not yet onboarded, but they have the income and the ability to buy the product. So these hot prospective, these are generally considered to be the potential customer. I would say that they are not been as of now reached to the companies, onboarded to the company, but they have the ability to be onboarded with the company, considering the price and the considering the other aspect of the product and the customer. So these prospects, are classified into three parts: hot prospects, warm prospects, and cool prospects. Hot prospects are the one probably the customers who are basically, if I would give an example, the one who are just, not satisfied from the existing company, they are considered to be the hot prospects. Now they just need a little efforts to onboard it to the company. So you always need to keep a track of the customers who are selling the competitor products, who are buying the competitor products, and what are their satisfaction with the existing company. So if they are not satisfied, then it is an opportunity for you to convert them to your company. They are the hot prospects. Okay, then there are warm prospects. Warm prospects are the one which are like, for example, not basically not necessarily they are the satisfied dissatisfied from the existing company, but they might switch to the company because they might have the ability to or eligibility to buy a product. Cool prospects are the one which might not be able to afford your products, but they are considered to be a other potential products in that way. So if I'll give you an example of the hot prospect, cold prospect. So let me just give you an example. I would like to talk about the some of the cases from the company. So if you like, if I talk about, for example, Apple. So for Apple, like a customer who has added the latest iPhone to their cart on the Apple website, or maybe in their app store, as in, like, their online channel I'm talking about. So they are considered to be the hot prospective. So when we do the e-commerce buying, then what we see basically, either we put the product to the wish list, or we'll just put it in the cart. So the product that has been put it in the cart by the customer, for the company, they are the hot prospects, because they have a high interest in the product and they are ready to buy those products. uh, in terms of, like, the electric vehicles, such as, for example, Tesla. So maybe the customer who has taken a test drive, and they check the eligibility for the EV incentives and ask about the delivery timelines. They are considered to be the hot prospects. For example, Amazon Web Services, a company that has already tested in Amazon Web Services free trial, and is the discussion with the AWS sales representatives to upgrade their premium enterprise plan. One could be an example of a Nike, maybe a professional athletes who has requested a custom shoes ordered and inquired about the sponsorship deals. In terms of a sales force also, if you look at it, a company that has completed a product demo and is in the final stage of negotiating a contract. These are some of the examples because it is an advanced stage of the customers where the customers have shown the enough interest and they are ready to buy. Okay, so they are considered to be the hot prospects. Now, when it comes to the prospects, prospects are generally the one. Wait. So warm prospects, they have shown their interest, but they may require more information or maybe persuasions or a time before making a purchase. For example, a customer who browse the latest MacBook Pro and subscribe to Apple newsletters, but they haven't add anything into their cart. They can be considered as a warm prospects. In terms of a Tesla, when someone has attached a Tesla seminar, someone has attended the Tesla seminar and asked questions about battery life and but it is still comparing the Tesla with the traditional gas vehicles. In terms of Amazon Web Services also, a startup that has downloaded AWS white paper and attended a webinar, but it is still considered alternatives like a Google Cloud or Azure. So these are some of the examples of the warm prospects because they are the prospects who has been considered as a moderate interest in your product, but needs nurturing. So they need a little more information before they get into convert it into the the customer. The third is of course a cold prospects. So the cold prospects are having a low interest. They are unaware or uninterested in the product. Okay. Now these type of customers, they either do not know about the product or they haven't expressed any need, or they may be skeptical about making a change. So in the similar example, in terms of Apple, maybe a casual user who is loyal to Android and has never considered buying an iPhone. They are the cold prospects. Maybe in terms of a Tesla, a customer who preferred gas-powered cars and isn't interested into the electric vehicle due to maybe a range anxiety or many other issues. Maybe Nike, a person who buy budget sneakers from a local brand and doesn't see value in the premium sports wear. So these could be an example that can be considered about hot, warm, and cold prospects. Now, before we are getting into the further, it is the company creates a sales funnel, or it is called as a pipeline. So if you look at in the diagram, it is shown that the top funnel is determining the sales prospects, and then prioritize sales prospect, prepare for the sales dialogue, and remaining stages in the sales process. So if you look at it, it is always a number of customers. So let's say, for example, if you are able to have or able to generate a list of 100 prospects. Now 100 prospects, not everybody would be completely interested into your product. So first of all, you determine the sales prospects, okay, and then you prioritize, because in those 100 itself there would be a different sort of a needs would be arises, because they might not be agree for the same price, they might not be agree for the same product, they might not be agree for the same terms. So you have to prioritize them based on your uh, you know based on your qualifications or their criteria. Now once you take out those lists, maybe there are 60 customers who are eligible, who has the ability to pay and has the enough interest in your product. You have prioritized them, you have profiled them. So now you prepare for the sales dialogue. So for those prospects, you ready for the conversation, and then it will go to the remaining sales process where you are finally going to make a presentations, and you're demonstrating your product to them. So it is always good to prepare a sales funnel. This is nothing but it is a representation of the trust based sales process and the strategic sales prospecting process. Now it is always a good idea to create a prospects pool. So company uses different methods in order to create a prospects pool. What is exactly the prospects pool? Prospects pool is like, you are using a multiple method in order to create the prospects pool. For example, leads. So leads as in they might or might not be interested in your product, but they are the potential people. Okay, so you can say, okay, these are the leads. All right. That is the one way. Okay. Or like, let's say, for example, when you give an advertisement, or maybe you've given a print advertisement, or you have aired the advertisement, or maybe you have outdoor in media, or something like marketing measures that you have used. And with that, if you are getting an inquiry, that would be considered as a lead. Okay. Then referrals, based on your people, your the customers are referring to the other customers, so they can also be considered as a prospects. Then the customer, your own existing customer, can be also considered as a prospect pool. Okay, because they can also onboard it the other customers. And then the orphan customers are the customers who might be availing the services to the XYZ company, but their representative to whom they were dealing earlier, they might have left the company, and there was nobody to take care of them. Now the orphan customers are highly vulnerable customers, because generally they have a previously good relations with the existing salesperson, but in case if they resigned, or if there is nobody is there in the company to take care of them or listen to them, they will feel demotivated, so they are more vulnerable, and they can switch to the another company. So it is a good idea to create a prospects pool through your mailing list, through your telephonic book, through your referrals, orphans, or through your existing customers. Now, that is where you create a prospect pool, and that is where you create a funnel, because all that customers comes from a different methods, may not be interested in your product, but they somewhere, some point in time, then you can classify them in terms of a hot prospect, warm prospect, and the cold prospects. And accordingly, you can strategize that, because hot prospects, they are the one who is ready to buy your product. So you'll have to just give them a huge offers, and you can convert them. But there are a warm prospects, and there are cold prospects. You can further look into them, that how you are able to convert them. Now the next stage is after the prospect is a pre-approach. So pre-approach is the approaches where now you have finalized the prospects. Okay, so about those prospects, further you need to gather the information. You can planning the sales call, setting the call objective, planning the sales strategy. Okay, so these are some of the steps that you need to take care of during the pre-approach stages. So, you might have the 60 customers, and then you have classified them into different categories, and accordingly, you have to determine your sales objectives, because for every customers, your sales objective is very important to be determined, because your sales objective is just not being defined in terms of like, I have to get this deal done. Now that cannot be a sales objective. Your sales objective should be in a such a way that today you need to help your customers in decide them, or maybe helping them to reduce the waste. Or maybe today you are going to help these many customers to reduce the cost, maybe operational cost. Today you are going to help these customers to increase their profitability and the revenue. That could be your sort of a sales objective. So as I said in my previous session, sales should not be like a more of like a pitching. Rather, it is a not a pursuing. Rather, it is a consulting. So when you have such kind of a positive approach about decreasing their cost, or increasing their revenue, then definitely it is going to have an impact on the further process that you are following. So when you have your sales objectives in a very positive manner, let's say you are going to help the customers to increases the revenue, or maybe reducing the cost, then you can develop and review the customer profile. Okay, under that you can, because you are planning the sales call, okay, and setting the call objective. So you develop and review the customer profile, because every customer, under those customers itself, those prospects itself might be a different need. So I'll give you an example. When we were, every day we were planning about which are the doctors we are going to meet next day. and every doctors were not prescribing the same medicine. Some doctors were having a potential for some drugs, some doctors were having a potential for some drugs. Now we have to study through the retailers or the medical stores that what kind of a customers are actually, or the patients are approaching to the doctor. So what overall the kind of a prescription is there? There is a possibility that the doctor was a MD medicine and the cardiologist, but maybe he's getting a customers or the patients which is just general physician sort of. So what kind of a medications he is prescribing? So maybe it is a general antibiotics, or maybe a general, or maybe cough syrup sort of, or is it that the most of the customers are coming from cardiac diseases? All right. So what kind of a patients are approaching to the doctors, and accordingly, what kind of offers that I have to make in terms of like presenting my medicine to the customer or the doctor. So we were planning all that. We were doing a profiling of the doctors, and based on that, we were looking at, okay, how do I approach to the customer and telling them that what are the benefits of my presentation. So we have to develop the customer benefit plan. Okay. And then after customer benefit plan, what is the customer benefit plan? We'll have to look at it, what products and how it's going to benefit to the doctor. So when we are benefiting the patients, indirectly it is benefiting to the doctors as well, because the patients, when they are getting benefited by the doctors, they are coming again and again. They'll also create a word of mouth about the doctor. So their reference will be increases. So in a way, the doctor's business will be increases. So, they develop the customer benefit plan, and further they present the sales presentations. After pre-approach, so generally, if I talk about pre-approach, is a planning. It is a phase where you just need to study the customer profile, frame your sales objectives, develop your sales strategies, and make a presentation based on that. So till the time you have not made the presentation, you have just developed your presentation. Now it is an approach stage where you are going to meet the customer. So in an approach phase, if you look at it, there are different approaches, like an introductory approach, a customer benefit approach, product approach, and question approach, and the praise approach. So there are 5 types of an approach, which is very much important in the in the sales presentation. So now, introductory approach is what? When you are meeting to the customer, you will have to say, sir, my name is Dr. Bhuvnesh Kumar Sharma, and I'm come from a so and so company. That is how you are going to approach. Okay, so that's an introductory stage, and then you can start like, sir, I have so many products. I'm dealing with this division, and I come to know that you have such kind of requirements. So can you allow me to make the presentation for 2 minutes so that I can demonstrate you the products that I'm selling? Sort of an introductory stage. Okay. Customer benefit approach. There, instead of an introduction, you can straight away start from the kind of benefit that you are asserting. So do you want, do you think that, the this cost is, more high, getting the, reducing the patients, like we were following that approach. So, patient, if they're not turn around to the clinic, don't you think it is going to be a loss to the clinic? Okay. Or second, we will be like, likewise, uh, do you want your overall, the footfall of your patients want to increase? So kind of, so that it will directly pitch to the customer, and the customer will be able to seek an interest in your presentation. Product approach. Product approach is also called as a demonstration approach. So when you are carrying the product along with you and you are showing it, that will always have a very positive impact. So let's say, for example, you are selling industrial pump equipments. You can always have the samples with you. Like for example, when Eureka Folk was selling a water purifier, they were always keeping the sample with them. Okay, so at least it can be kept with the product where you can come up with the samples. So that is a demonstration of the product approach, is something that you are always showing that. So it has been noticed, and based on that, the customer will be able to um, uh, you know put an interest in that. question approach. You ask the question. So do you think your firm's this cost is high? Don't you think that it should be reduced by 10%? Kind of a question. So the question should be framed in such a way that it can the answer eventually come out into yes. So you have to frame the questions in that way. Uh, we had experienced it in a pharmaceutical company, and I think agriculture also it remains the same. When you are asking the question like, for example, if you're asking the farmers organizations about, don't you think it is if you are using a certain kind of a seeds, it will increase the productivity of 25% of to your crop? Okay, so sort of a question approach, they may say yes, definitely. Or do you want to increase the crop productivity by 20%? So definitely they say yes, we wanted to increase the crop productivity. So such kind of a questions always need to be framed, and they should start the approach the customer in that way. Now praise approach, which is been done for at least those customers when you are meeting to CEOs, vice president, or the people in the top management. They are a little egoistic people, so you always have to praise them in such a way that sir, you made a very good choice. I mean, sometimes what happens when we were in the sales, we used to tell them, sir, it's a nice shirt, from where you purchase this. Okay, so sort of, or maybe if something has been kept there, we can always say, this is a nice thing, sir. From where did you purchase that? They'll always like to. So they eventually interested into you because you have grabbed their attention. So they will eventually interested. Now, when you are approaching, and after the approaching is just like starting your conversation. So how do you begin your conversation with the doctor? So it can with the doctor as in like with the customer. So as you always start from, either you are introducing yourself in a very formal way, or you can start by telling the benefit directly. You can demonstrate the product, or you can question, or you can praise. So these are the different approaches that one can follow. Of course, it depends on the kind of a products that you have along with you. At the same time, it is also like, for example, to whom you are meeting. If you are meeting to the CEO or the vice president, definitely you need to follow the praise approach. Okay, but if you are meeting to somebody who is a decision maker, but not that a CEO and all that, you can always talk about a benefit approach with them. Okay. Or if you see the person who is specialized in that, you can always demonstrate the product to them, or maybe ask question to them. So different approaches need to be followed with the different people. Now, when I say the approaches that we follow about question, so when you are asking the question is important to understand the buyer's need. So there is an important approach which we call it a spin approach in the sales. What is this spin approach basically? The spin approach is like asking a question to the customer so that you try to uncover the need of the customer. What kind of a need can be there? So you ask a different kind of a question, like you may ask a situation based question, you ask problem based question, you ask implication based question, and you ask need payoff questions, sorry. So situation based question, for example, situation question help you to understand the buyer's current situation. The goal of these, the kind of a question is to gather information. For example, what do the current, the process looks like? So you are just making them think about the current process that they are. What tools are they already using? Okay, and how often do they use them? So you are always asking a kind of a questions where the customer need to think about it. Okay, and you gather more information by that. So for example, if you are asking what kind of the current processes that you are using, uh, maybe in manufacturing, or maybe what kind of a machine you are using. Okay, or maybe what kind of a tools and the techniques that have already been used. Okay, and how often do you use them? Such kind of a question will help you to understand in what situation the buyer is. For example, the second question are the problem based question, where you ask the questions to uncover in what problem the customers are. So, for example, do you feel that inter team communication is as good as it can be? Okay, and how does this impact stakeholders buy in? Okay. So some kind of a questions that you can put it always to understand whether they are the present solution is there or whether there is any problem. Now implications, why if the problem is not being solved, then what kind of an implication they are aware about it. So the implication questions hones in on the problems that you have discovered, which is showing the client why they need to be solved. So for example, how much time is wasted on inefficient communications each week? It's simply indicating that the time is very important. So wasting a time is a very much important. Wasting a time is having a uh, negative impact on the organizations. Secondly, how much more could your team achieve each week without those time sinks? Okay, and have your communication problem ever delayed product rollout? Similarly, need payoff questions. Need payoff questions are, rather than just telling you client how your product or service can addresses their pain point, need payoff questions lead your questions to those conclusions on their own. For example, would a comprehensive product management tool increases the stakeholders buy-in, or would that be valuable for your team? So now you can understand there is a sequence of questions that you can always ask. Okay, if you are already aware about buyer situation and you're just trying to uncover the problem, you can ask the problem based questions, or you can sequentially ask these questions if you are first time meeting to the customer and you're not been aware about the kind of a situation and the problem that customers are. So first you can always ask about situation questions, and from those answers you will be able to come up to your problem based questions, implications, and the need payoff questions. So this is a very very important approach, which has been used in the sales since a long, which help the salespersons to understand and demonstrate their products and pitch their ideas to the customer. Now there are so many sales presentations method. Stimulus response method, which we call it a canned approach, formula method, need satisfaction method, team selling method, and uh, cultivative consultative sales method. Let us talk about one by one. Stimulate response method or canned approach is basically are the methods which are actually a very formal kind of a presentations. Okay, so like formal kind of a presentation, when you going first time and demonstrating the product to the customer, you know that the customer might not aware about it and you are not interacted to the customers before. You can always go to this stimulus response method. So it is a formal way of presenting. So you are always structured your presentation and you are introducing yourself, and after that you have started your product by demonstrating them through the presentations. Okay, and giving them the entire pictures of your product. For example, your what kind of a benefit you are offering, what kind of a services you are offering, how does it help the organizations. Okay, so all these sort of things that you'll always keep into the stimulus response method sort of questions. So generally, this method follows the scripted predetermined presentations, where the salesperson uses specific words or triggers to elicit the desired response from the customers. Now, this kind of an approach is basically used for a low cost or the routine purchase where the responses are predictable. For example, McDonald upselling. Now, when McDonald cashier asks, would you like to add fries and drink for just $1 more? They are using a stimulus response method, right? Because they are stimulating. They are stimulating, would you like to add fries and a drink for just $1? So they are just trying to enforce you just in a $1, you'll be able to add fries and drink in your, along with your MACD. So the second could be a retail sales, script where a clothing, store salesperson repeatedly suggests accessories that complement a customer's outfit. So, for example, if you are buying a trouser, they may also suggest you that whether the shirt or the t-shirts can be fit into it, or maybe they will also always influence you the kind of a new new material that is there in the on new brands are coming in, or maybe something new launch is there. So they may also pitch you for the belt, purses, or maybe other items. So this is the stimulus response approach. Now, when it comes to you know, just wait. Hmm. Second is a formula method. So uh, formula method follows a logical and a structured approach. Uh, by assuming that customer go through a predictable buying process. So this formula method is a more flexible than the canned approach, but it still follows the fixed sequences. For example, this kind of an approach, formula method approach, is best suited for selling the standardized products to a customer with known needs. That means you already know about the customer's need. In that case, you can always follow the formula method. For example, pharmaceutical sales. So, medical representatives, presenting drugs benefit in a structured way to doctors using the IDA, that attention, interest, desired, and action model. So that is a kind of a the presentation they always have to make. For example, even an insurance salesperson also, like insurance agents, are also using these step-by-step presentation to explain policies, benefits, and the cost to the customers. The third approach, the presentation approach, is the need satisfaction method. This need satisfaction method is basically following a script. The salesperson asks questions to identify and uncover the customer needs, and based on that, they tailor their presentations. So this kind of an approach, which is a need satisfaction approach, is basically suitable for selling the complex, high valued solutions where the customer need may vary. So ultimately, the you know uh, high value solutions or high complex selling, it is important. For example, B2B software sales. Salesforce representatives, they ask about a company's CRM challenges before demonstrating specific software features that addresses those needs. Uh, Automobile sales also, it is applicable. For example, a car dealer ask about their commuting needs before suggesting an electric vehicle for the cost saving. So they need to understand the kind of a need that the customers are having, and accordingly they try and pitch them. Okay. Now this kind of as I said, the customer needs may vary. Okay, people might wanted to buy a different kind of a vehicle, maybe a traditional diesel or petrol or electric or maybe hybrid. Okay, so sort of different needs are there. So you need to first understand that in what kind of a need they are. There is another approach which we call as a team selling approach. The team selling approach involved multiple sales representatives, or you can say like the specialist, working together to sell a product, especially in a complex B2B scenarios. This particular, the method is best suited for high value corporate dealing, which is requiring the expertise from the different department. For example, SAP solutions. You are selling the SAP ERP solution. So when selling a SAP, enterprise solutions, the team, which is including technical expertise, finance consultants, and the customer success managers, work together to close the deal. For example, Tesla fleet sales. Tesla B2B sales team collaborates with energy consultant and financing experts to help businesses transitions their fleet to EV. So such kind of a situation, they customers using companies are using the team selling approaches. Now there is another approach, which is the last approach, as a consultative approach. Consultative approach is also known as a problem solving approach, problem solution presentations. So in this kind of the problem solution approach, a salesperson act as an advisor, and as an advisor, they are diagnosing the customer's problem and proposing a customized solutions. Now, such kind of presentations can be made while selling the expensive, technical, or highly customized solutions. For example, IBM cloud solutions. So IBM Cloud Solutions, the sales consultant of IBM, they assess the company's IT infrastructures before recommending a tailored computer, the cloud computing solutions. Real estate consulting also, a high-end property agent consult with a client about lifestyle preferences before showing homes, that match their needs. So these are some of the presentation methods that are actually useful for the companies and the salesperson particularly to prepare the presentations effectively. Now, some of the important pointers for developing an effective presentations. It is always good to plan as in you need to plan what are you going to talk to the customer. Okay, what product you are demonstrate to the customer, presenting to the customer, what benefit are you showing to the customer. Okay, it is always good to plan in that way. Second, use technology. How effectively you are able to make the presentation, how effectively you are integrating to the technology. That is also important. For example, you can use audio, visual, or you can make the navigating video and show that video to the client. Okay. You can always put a benefit plan into your presentation because it is very important. Unless the customer will see any benefit about them into your presentation, they might not take enough interest into it. Do not overload with the informations because if it is a too much information, cluttered information, customer may not showing an interest into it. Prospects language, you need to understand in what language they are comfortable. If they are comfortable in the local language, please speak in the local language. If they are comfortable in international language, please speak in the international language. Or if there are any common language that between your customers and the company, then I think you can go ahead with that. Okay, demonstration is a key. Now the next stage is about overcoming objection. Now eventually when the customer is interested in your product, they will come up with some of the objections. Okay, so they may definitely ask questions based on what kind of an objection, and based on their objection you will also be able to understand what is actually going in the customer's mind. For example, first type of objections are the hidden objection. Customer may not be able to tell you the truth about why they are actually denying that. For example, customer may tell you that I need to think about it. Okay, but I need to think about it. They might actually concern about the product's durability. Okay, uh, when the customer will say that let me check with my team, when they secretly doubt the company's credibility. Okay, so you have to decode what is going on in there based on their sentences. So whether they are talking about I need to think about it, or whether let me discuss with my team, or let me check with my team, all that are indicating that the customer might not showing an enough interest, or they have a concern about the durability or maybe credibility about the company. So you further need to, how do you meet these objections? Because once these kind of an objections comes in, you'll definitely come up with some of the certifications, some of the examples that you have. Maybe you can showcase the testimonials of your customers in order to showcase the credibility. You can always come up with some of the certification if you have. For example, technical, if you are into the technical product, you are always showing the ISO certified, or maybe whatever the certifications that you have. In a way, you can deal with the hidden questions. Second is stalling objections. Stalling objections are, kind of an objections. For example, I'll give you an example. So can you send me more information? I'll get back to you. Okay, so they say that kind of, so that means they're trying to away from you. Okay, let us discuss this next quarter when our budget is clear. Okay, they have a certain reservations about the product, or they might not be enough interested in your product. They are just trying to avoid you. Okay, so in order to if you are having a such kind of a question, installer objection sort of can you send me more information? I'll get back to you. That means it is simple. You are not in the priority list of the customer. Now, why it could be, there could be a possibility that your customer needs and your requirements might not be matching. So you may further need to ask a couple of more questions in order to understand. And if the customers are showing you or just being giving you an extended deadlines. There could be a money objections also. So money objections, these are some of money objections are typically a very I would consider them a very easy objections, because when the customer will say it is too expensive for our budget, you have an opportunity to showcase the kind of a benefit that you are offering to them. Okay. Like in my previous class, I've given an example of how the company will be able to, figure out not only just an ROI simply by giving them a $1 lakh benefit, but at the same time, what others benefit that has been associated to the product. Okay. Can you offer a discount? We can't afford this price. Okay. So such kind of objections are a money objection. Now, product objections. I have read reviews saying the software crashes frequently or your product lacks the specific features we need. Now, such kind of an objections are definitely is very good objections, because if that showing that the customer is showing an interest in your product. Okay. And in a way, uh, they are looking at, but they are concerned about few aspects. So with that, you have to make them convinced about what companies are dealing. So now there are two approaches here how to handle such kind of an objections. One could be that you always agree with them. Yes, sir, I do agree with you, because our software crashes frequently, but the company has taken a note of it and they have come up with the solutions, and the solution is already right there. So now going forward, there would not be any such cases are there. That is one aspect of it. Now, the customer might just tell you like that only, because I have heard that, or maybe reviews saying this. Okay. You can come up with the facts that, no, that is not the common things, that is very much, there are instances that has happened specific to those customers. You can always come out with, the ratings, that is a positive. So you can always say that is still, sir, there are 10,000 reviews and out of that we are getting a 4.5. So that is still better. Okay, your product lacks specific features we need. Okay, that is something that is based on their requirement. Source objections. We prefer to work with a more established brand. I don't trust your company's track record. Very obvious sort of an objections, because they might also show you, because they're trying to negotiate with you. So they said we are always buying these, more from the more established brand, because they are more trustworthy, and I don't trust your company's track record. So that could definitely come out with coming up with your more data. Okay. And you can definitely what the other companies offered them traditionally and what you are offering, that will always come up. So such kind of an objections are there that you'll have to. So these are all things before you have to make a presentation. You always have to come up with such kind of what kind of an objections can be there and how you deal with such objections. That planning and strategy you always have to make before you are making the presentation. So although I have already spoken about how these objections can be handled, but some of the methods of handling the logical objections, ask questions. So you can further ask question if they are having a particular objection. Turn objections into the benefits. Deny objections tactfully. Third party certificate and compensation. Now this is a case about Japan computer. Okay. Assume you are a salesperson for the Japan Computer Corporation. You have finished your computer presentation and the purchasing agent for Gulf Oil says, well, that sounds real good and you have the lowest price I have ever heard of a computer company or computer system. In fact, it is $2 lakhs less than the other bids. But we have decided to stay with IBM, mainly because $2 lakhs on a 1 million computer system, $1 million computer system is not that much money to us. Let's further assume that you also know that other than price, IBM has significant advantages in all areas over here. What would you say? So in that case, if you look at it, the kind of objections are there. So you see what customer trying to say. You are offering them a lowest price, but the customer is actually, into the brand. They have decided to stay with IBM because 2 lakhs for them, the $1 million doesn't matter. It's not that much money to us. Okay. So such kind of an objection when the companies are already with there, you can always praise them. First of all, it is good that you are there with them. But along with that, what else you are offering with them, you are always have to put on the table. Just a second.
In 2023, if you are not using AI for your creating your PowerPoints, then you are wasting
on how to actually.
So here I want to show you a video, okay, which is showing you how to handle the objections. Okay, let me show you the video.
In this video, you're gonna learn how to handle any sales objection using my simple 3-step framework. And you wanna make sure you watch this video until the end because we're also gonna go through a live sales role play so you can see this framework in action. What's going on, everybody? It's Patrick Dang here. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to see more sales videos like this. And let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing we gotta cover is what exactly is a sales objection. And a sales objection is simply a reason for why somebody doesn't want to purchase your product and service. So for example, you might be in a sales meeting, whether it's over the phone or in person, and you ask them questions, you give a presentation, and at the end of everything, you ask for the sale. And at the end, the prospect might say something like, oh, I need to think about it. Oh, the price is too high. Oh, I gotta talk to my boss about this, right? They give you a lot of different reasons for why they can't actually buy. Now, a prospect, someone you are trying to sell to, they may have an infinite number of reasons for why they can't buy. So it's your job as a seller to uncover the truth behind why they're not buying and remove that blocker and help them make a purchasing decision. Now, where do sales objections really come from? And no matter what it is that you're selling, whether you're in sales, business development, or if you're an entrepreneur, sales objections are going to come from anything that wasn't discussed in the actual sales meeting. So think about this. When you are, let's say, selling something, right? And you are in a sales meeting, you're basically having a conversation and convincing the person why they should purchase your product and service. Now, an objection is going to come, at the end usually because, maybe something wasn't covered. Maybe you didn't talk about the approval process they have to go through to buy whatever it is you're selling. Or maybe you didn't talk about the budget quite yet, right? So if you didn't cover those things in the sales meeting, eventually they're going to turn up. So ideally you would want to handle objections during the sales meeting, but sometimes you might miss something, or maybe the prospect doesn't tell you all the information you need during that meeting, so it comes up at the end. But the thing you want to pay attention to is that a sales objection is not necessarily a bad thing, right? You might think if it's a bad thing because, oh, someone doesn't want to buy your product and service. However, you want to look at it and reframe the situation as an opportunity to help the customer buy. Let's say, someone's trying to get from point A to point B, right? Like they're walking across the road, but an objection comes in the middle. It's like an obstacle. They're trying to walk through and for some reason, they get blocked. And it's your job to remove this obstacle so they can walk from point A to point B. And if you think about it in that perspective, an objection is not really a bad thing. It's just a reason for why somebody can't buy yet. So instead of pushing someone in to buy, just remove the obstacle and help them make the purchasing decision, because they already want to go from point A to point B. You're just unblocking them. So now let's go ahead and get into the 3-step framework on how to actually handle the objection. So, typically in sales training, what people have you do is they will, let's say, give you all the common objections, and then you have to memorize a script to handle each one. For example, the price is too high. I already work for my competitor. So traditionally you would have a immediate response to whatever it is, right? And that does work, and you should have responses to the very common objections. But what happens when you come across an objection that, let's say, you have never heard of? How do you handle an objection that you didn't prepare for? And so this 3-step framework you can basically use for any type of objection, whether you have already heard it or it's going to be a brand new one, and you're going to be able to use this objection handling technique on the fly for any type of objection. All right, so the 3-step framework you're going to use is empathize, get to the truth, and reframe the conversation. So empathy is kind of understanding where the person is coming from and really seeing things from their perspective and making the prospect feel heard. This is very important to build trust and rapport. The next step when you're seeking the truth is when someone gives you an objection, you want to dive a little bit deeper into what is the real objection, right? Because the first thing somebody says usually is partially true, and you want to dive a little deeper to understand why someone really cannot buy right now, right? And I'll show you an example of that. And the final step is going to reframe. So you want to reframe the conversation. So instead of, looking at an objection from a traditional standpoint, you want to change that, and you want to see these objections as opportunities to help educate your customer and help them make a purchasing decision. So let's go ahead and get into the role play so you see how this all works.
Patrick, everything looks good so far, but let me think about it.
Okay, John, I hear what you're saying. I'm guessing you want to take your time before making an important decision like this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, hey, since we are already talking over the phone, John, I'm curious, I know you don't want to rush anything here, but I wanted to know exactly, what exactly you need to think about before making a decision. Maybe I can help answer any questions you have while we're talking right now.
Yeah, so like I said before, everything looks good, but I can't actually buy this myself. I have to talk it over with my boss, and she's actually the one that signs off on everything.
Okay, that totally makes sense. Hey, if it's easier for you, how about we schedule a call with you and your boss and myself, and we can talk through the details. This way I can be there to help answer any questions your boss may have, instead of you having to do it all by yourself. How does that sound?
Okay, yeah, sure. That would actually make things a lot easier for me.
So in the role play, you can kind of see that John, it was at the end of a meeting, and John wanted to buy, but then for some reason he couldn't. And so I had to empathize with him, and I understood, like, hey, you don't have to rush anything. But the next step is I need to get to the truth. Why exactly is he not buying? What does he need to think about, right? And so I say, hey, what exactly do you need to think about? You can ask it directly like that. And John says, oh, he needs to talk it over with his boss, because the boss is the one that signs off on it, right? And maybe he didn't tell me that in the beginning of the meeting, but now I know. So knowing this, what I need to do is I need to reframe the conversation and schedule another meeting with him and his boss and myself so I can talk about my solution. And I know that I don't want John to do it by himself, because when it comes to selling, John cannot sell my product better than I can, because I'm the salesperson, right? He can kind of relay the message, but he won't, be as persuasive. So that's why I need to schedule another meeting so I can talk to the person who's really going to make the decision on that call and persuade them and explain to them why they need to purchase my product or service. And so that's pretty much the framework. Empathize, seek the truth, and then reframe the conversation. So if you enjoyed this video on how to handle any objection, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, because I'm going to be dropping new sales
Yeah. In this video, he has discussed about how to handle the objections. Now, there is an important approach in the sales, which is called as a FAB approach. Which FAB approach, FAB, that means featured, advantage, and benefit. So when you are making a presentation to your client or the customer, how you are going to align these features advantage and the benefit of the product that you are offering in a structured manner. So this approach is actually making your presentation better by structuring more and telling them, what are you going to talk about the product in terms of featured advantage and the benefit. This is the most popular approach in the sales and very effective. So in short, if I can tell you that, for example, features like, ceiling fan, the feature might be it has a 2000 RPM. Now this is a 2000 RPM. So that's a feature. But when it comes to advantages, that means it runs faster, right? Rotate faster. And so as the, it has a huge, air. So, and benefit is what basically, so it can be kept in a big room, so that he can make the air everywhere in the room, a big room. So that's the benefit to the customer. So instead of consuming 4 fans, you can consume only 1 or 2 fans likewise in that. So with that, I'm going to show another video by which you will be understanding that the fab approach and how you are able to apply it into your business.
So as coders, when we are working on the client solutions, we spend months trying to make sense of this data and solve problems. But when it came to feeling stuck in my career,
Hi all. So today's topic of discussion is fab in sales. So those who are into sales, they can understand like much about what is fab, or even like you are not aware of what is fab. So let us discuss about like like what is fab in sales and how it is useful for in sales and salesperson, and how the salesperson should utilize this fab concept, to sell the product or services to the customer, and moreover, like how to frame a fab statement with examples. So let us go through the concept. So fab. So F is the features, A is the advantages, B is the benefits. So fab statement or the fab concept is a part of the sales process. So where like you can utilize the product's features, advantages, and benefits to convince your customer as well as to sell your product or services, because it is not that like your product have x number of features, or like you have number of features done, everything in your product. So what is the need for the customer to buy your product? Is it like the features, or is it something else that the customer will look into? So we'll be discussing it with some examples like how this will be useful, as well as like what is a feature. A feature is something like which is an integral characteristic of your product. So it may be like a functionality of your product, or a USP of your product, or like anything like down the line of your product, anything related to the product's features is called as a characteristic is called as a feature. As well as what is an advantage. So how the product works for the customer. So like what it will help the customer. So it will be an advantage. So benefits. Benefits is something like the feature plus advantages relate to buyers' priorities. Like let's say, let's go through an example so that it will be easy to understand like what exactly it is. So let's say we have a smartphone, right? So in the smartphone have some ABC processor, or some XYZ RAM processor, like RAM size or something. So this is a feature of your smartphone. So what is the advantage of having that processor? Having that processor, the smartphone will work 10 times faster than the old one. So having this, like ABC process, or like some XYZ processor, or some RAM size or something, because of that, the new smartphone will work 10 times faster than the old one. So the smartphone having an ABC processor is the feature, and it works 10 times faster than the older one is the advantage. So what is the benefit for the customer? So benefit for the customer that if the ABC process is there in your product and works 10 times faster than the older one, then the customer will save time while working on multiple tabs or screen, or he or she can the customer can finish the work as soon as possible. So that means there is a benefit for the customer to save the time as well as to do the work at the quickest rate possible. So this is the benefit for the customer. So having an ABC processor or XYZ process, for the example like we've given it, so some XYZ processor or something on that part, like in the smartphone, it works 10 times faster than the older one, which in turn will save time like for the working for the multiple tabs or the screens. Even you can take the same kind of example with your laptop or any other product as well. So if you have a new TV, like the TV have some like excellent Wi-Fi technology or the smart technology. So what is the use of that smart technology? If we have smart technology, it will directly connect with the Amazon Alexa, or like Siri, or like it will directly connect to the Wi-Fi. So by what is the like benefit of connecting it to the Wi-Fi? So that you can watch the online streaming videos easily, which is there is no need of putting another device to your TV. So this shows like different kinds of features, how it is useful, or how it works for the customer as an advantage, and what is the benefit it is giving to the customer. So let us go through another example. So this is something I have taken, like baby car seat. Like most of the people who have a baby, like they can understand like how like the baby car seat is important for the baby in the car. So if the baby car seat is there, so having a baby car seat with dual lock system is the feature. Automated sensor is the feature. So what is the advantage of having a dual lock system?
Hey, still thinking about joining the 30-day Python using AI bootcamp by AI for Techies? So what if in 30 days you could go
Requires double click to open the dual lock system. It is not that if one side is open, then the baby can slip out of it. The baby has to open both the locks by clicking both the locks, then it will come out of the car seat. Or else if these things are happening, even after that also there will be a buzz alert because you have an automated sensor attached to it. So this is the advantage and this is the feature. That's fine, like you have a feature, because of that you have an advantage. So what is the benefit for the customers? The benefit for the customer is straight away a single line, is that baby will be safe. Baby is safe in the seat because it has dual lock system, as well as the automated sensors are there which will give buzz alerts to the the guy or guardian, the parents or whoever in the car, so that they'll get alerted, okay, so and so thing has been missed. So that's the reason like they put back the double lock system to the car seat. So this shows like this is the feature and this is the advantages and how it has been beneficial for the customer. So it is always important to have features, advantages and benefits for your products or services, whatever you are selling, because end of the day, if your product have a feature and an advantage and it is nowhere benefit for the customer, then the customer is not going to purchase your product or look for your product. So sit down and note like what are the fab features, like what are the fab statement for your product or services. Or if you are a student, you are trying to understand like what is a fab concept, then I request you people to write it down, different products or different services what you regularly see or regularly use, and try to note down like features and advantage benefits of those products, so that it will be an easier thing for you to understand this concept And going further, this will help you out to sell the products or services once you join the companies. And for the sales people, it is very much important to understand fab concept, because unless and until you you are not able to understand like the advantages and benefit of a product, there is no point that you are going to convince the end user or the customer for the advantages and benefits of the product. So try to frame the fab statements so that it will be easier for you to convince your customer. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you people have understood like what is a fab statement and what is like features and advantages.
Yeah, so I hope you are now clear about the fab concept, and let me share my presentation now. So here is a case for all of you. Now this case is about S building supplier. So the S building supplier is, you know, uh, the case is all about, this is your fourth call on S building supplier. Like, assume yourself. You can assume yourself as a sales representative, and this is your fourth call on S building suppliers to motivate them to sell your home building supplies to local builders. Nikhil, the buyer, gives every indication that he likes your product during the call. Nikhil reaffirms his liking for your product and attempted to end the interview by saying, "We will be ready to do business with you in 3 months. Right after this slow season end, stop by them and we will place an order with you." Okay, so what are the different questions here? Which one of the following steps would you take and why? For example, you will call back in 3 months to get the order as suggested, or try to get a firm commitment or order now. And third one is telephone Nikhil in a month rather than make a personal visit and try to get the order. The second is, why did you not choose the other two alternatives? Okay, so in this particular case, as such, there would be a different approaches the salespeople would follow. But since when the Nikhil reaffirms his liking for your product and attempted to end the interview by saying, "We will be ready to do the business with you in 3 months." So he's trying and extending the time, and he's trying to, so your job, first of all, to understand and to make the deal happen now, because after 3 months there would be a possibility that he may lost his interest in your product, or he may get anybody else from where he may get a deal. So this has been considered as a hot deal for you. Okay, so you have to either try to get a firm commitment or order now. You can say, okay, if it's okay that you can place an order after 3 months, but if you can book an order, if we can get into the agreement now, so I'll be happy to deliver you in 3 months. So you have to come up with your aggressive approach at that point in time. Okay, while after getting a commitment, if you call after 1 month and asking about it, that's finally, it's okay. But at least, in that case, if you are extending it and you rely on the customer, what they said, and they said, okay, after 3 months, I'll get back to you, or, I'll do the business after 3 months with you. Now he's possibly extending the time, and after 3 months, the situation will be different and you might not be able to get the deal happens. Now there is something called as a trial close or the close. Now when, as a procedure, if you look at it, uh, you had identified the prospects. Okay, you made the presentation, you follow the fab approach, everything goes right. Okay, and you have got certain indications also that customer is interested in the way of, like, the kind of the objections that he put it on your product. Okay, or maybe in your sales pitch. Now the next stage is where you need to understand that whether you need to close the sale. Okay, and this is called as a trial close stage, where the customer is not exactly in the position to close the sale, but he will give you some indication that he's interested to close the sales. So trial close is the preliminary stages of final closing of the sales. Some of the trial close examples: to what extent the product meet your expectations, which of these benefits are important for you. Out of these three models that are here, I think you will like the model. Am I right? Try to take in, I mean, I hope you like this. I hope you do this, do this. All sort of questions that you need to ask so that you can get some indications that the customer is ready to close the deal. And then finally you can take out your the order book and then place the order. So the most important thing you can do to improve your sales closing performance is answer trial closing techniques. So again, to continue with that, how do you close the sale, trial close that? Uh, you will get some buying signals. Buying signals are the signals from potential customers that shows an intent to buy the product or the services. So, like for example, buying signals could be examine the product when the customer is the seeing the product and looking at from each angle. Ask another person's opinion if they prefer somebody else at that point in time, and they say, okay, what is your opinion about it? Next, if they continue ask questions on not only the product but various aspect of the business deal, he may into that situation of negotiation where he might be able to come out with that negotiation stage and wanted to trial close it, and he just become a friendly with you. Now, friendly with you is at the later stage is absolutely fine, but friendly with you at the initial stage might not be a good indication for the salesperson. You have to be as professional as possible, but yeah, you have to always give a personal touch to the customer. Okay, at the maybe once you try to, okay sir, I know you like the product, but there are something that I can do it or help you out in order to make the decision happen. So you can always talk like this, and you can become a little more friendly with the customer, so the customer may think, okay, it's just a deal is going to happen. This fab approach, we have already discussed about it. Okay, and let me come to the closing of the sales. So once you get the enough buying signal about the closing the sale, that means you're ready to close the sales. Okay. There are many ways by which you can close the sales. One of the such one ways are like alternate choice, assumptions, complement, summary or benefit, continuous yes, minor points, T account, standing room only, probability, negotiation, technology. All these points are considered as a closing the sales. Now, if you take a one by one, for example, alternate choice close, this type of technique of a closing alternate choice, technique, it presents two or more choices to the customer, so that for them it is easy to make a say yes to any one of them, so that you'll sure, okay, if not this one, then that one. So you always ask, sir, which one you like, this one or that one? So accordingly, a car dealer asks, would you prefer the standard model or a premium model? Or maybe a fast food cashier might ask, would you like the medium or the large combo meal? So such kind of a option you can always put it. So they may clearly say that, okay, you are getting into one particular deal. There is another closing method which is a assumptive method. Now, assumptive method basically, in this particular method, the salesperson assume that the customer has already decided to buy the product and proceeds with the next step. For example, a furniture salesperson says, shall we schedule the delivery for Monday or Tuesday? So it's like, you are already assumed that the customer has made up his mind. So you'll have to push them like, okay, whether you want a delivery on Monday or Tuesday, or would you like to sign the contract today or tomorrow? Kind of. Third is compliment close. Compliment close, the salesperson compliment the customers to create a positive atmosphere, uh, and encourage them to make a purchase. For example, a clothing store, salesperson said that this looks amazing to you, amazing on you, and it really bring your own, bring your confidence. So that can be a compliment closing. One could be an example of the luxury car where the salesperson will tell you that you have a great eyes for cars. This model is perfect for your lifestyle. So you're always giving them a compliment to make a better choice by selecting the product. Another closing technique is the summary of benefit close. So you can always summarize whatever the benefits that you are offering to the customer. Okay, so for example, let us take an example of gym membership. Okay, so you can always tell the kind of a sentence that with this particular membership, you get unlimited access to all the fitness classes, the free personal training sessions and a nutritional plan. So are you ready to join this? Are you ready to join this program today? Or maybe a laptop salesperson can also tell you about this model offer a high speed processor, long battery life, and a free software package. Let's get set up for you, kind of. So you are summarizing the summary, the benefits of the product, and then you are pitching them. Okay, would you go for it? Then continuous yes close. Now, continuous yes close is always asking a sort of very easy and the small questions to the customer, leading the customer to say yes. So, for example, in the skincare, when you are selling the skincare and you ask about your skin, okay, do you care about your skin? So eventually they'll say yes, I do care about my skin. Do you want to prevent aging? Correct. So eventually the question will definitely come to yes. Or maybe further you can ask many questions, for example, and you prefer organic ingredients, right? Then follow with this is a perfect product for you. Secondly, a mobile salesperson associate can also ask, like, you need a high quality camera, a long battery life, fast performance. Great, this phone is all that. So continuously yes, asking a very small, very easy questions, which eventually the answer should be the yes. Minor point closing, when the salesperson get the customers to agree on a small details, subtly leading towards a purchase. For example, would you like this sofa in a gray or navy blue? So, instead of asking them if they want to buy, generally you should not ask them to, whether you need to buy or not buy. Rather, you have to indirectly ask the question. For example, sir, would you like to book this today or tomorrow? When would you like to deliver this product? Maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. Sir, can we go for the commitment now? Can I have your order now? Okay. Or maybe in which particular color you want this? Okay. So similarly, the car dealer can also ask about you prefer leather seats or the fabric. Okay. So in a way, there are so many, methods of closing that one salespersons need to focus and, look at it while they're closing the sales. Now, if you look at it in which situation, which particular sales closing techniques are useful. So for example, when the customer is indecisive, when the customer is not able to decide, then in that case, you have to force a decision. So for example, you can use either alternative approach, you can use summary of the benefit, you can use continuous yes, or maybe you can use T account, standing room only. T account is nothing but it is about benefit and loss. You can tell this is the benefit, this is the drawbacks. You're always definitely going to talk about more benefit about your brand, not the losses. Okay, drawbacks. Customer is expert or egoistically. There you can always use the complementary approach. Okay, and followed by the T approach and the probability and the negotiation approach. So you should allow the experts to take the decision instead of you take the decision. If the customer is hostile, for the hostile customer, definitely you'll have to follow the complement approach, followed by continuous yes approach and the probability and the negotiation approach. So it is a positive stroke to the person who is very much hostile. Customer is a friend, assumptive, and then probability and the negotiation, because you can take care of the small things. Customer has a predetermined beliefs, T account, then probability, and then negotiation. Benefits outweigh disbeliefs. Customer is greedy, want a deal, buy now. Okay, so this is about different closing techniques and in what situation you need to follow these close follow-ups and the services. Then and then this particular case, I'll leave it to all of you how you are going to solve this case. So Ashok Leyland introduced a digital platforms to facilitate customers to stick with the company for service and spare parts. As the country's second largest truck maker, target a larger share of the rupees 60,000 crore after sales automotive market. The segment account for just 5% of 1,000 crore of the company's annual revenue of 20,000 crore. The digital platform alone, it expects, will bring in an incremental of 1,000 crore a year. To keep the customer stay with the company, contract truckers within 4 hours of a breakdown and an uptime of 48 hours. It will absorb the truckers' loss beyond that time frame. The digital platform, the company said it yet another initiatives to ensure that trucks are always running and delivering. The company introduced 4 solutions: iAlert, Service Mandi, e-diagnostic, and e-cart. Now, iAlert is a telematic technology that will help the customer track the vehicle and get vital information on the vehicle health in real time. If the vehicle needs attention, iAlert send the alert directly to the trucker's mobile. Service Mandi connect the customers with the rated and trained mechanics with pre-agreed rates. The company already has 3,000 mechanics enrolled under this. E-diagnostics ensures fast diagnostics and visual instructions for repair. Leakart, ensures round-the-clock availability of genuine parts along with doorstep delivery. As much as 60 to 70% of the Ashok Leyland trucks owners choose an outside brand for after-sale services and spare parts. In the life cycle of a truck, the owner spend about 3 crore, but Ashok Leyland says its income from it as the manufacturer is just rupees 20 lakhs. The aim of the company is to bring such customers back to its facilities and tap into the balanced, business potential as well. So this is about the digital implementation of the policies in terms of encouraging the sales of the organizations by keeping the digital into the interface. Okay, so there are so many other parts of the presentations. Let me just show you one more video where I can throw some light on the best practices of the sales. So here is a video how the inbound is able to increases the leads.
There is no better feeling as a marketing manager or business owner than logging on in the morning and seeing that more leads have come in than your sales team know how to process. And not just high volume of leads, but the right sort of leads as well. So today I'm going to be showing you the 6 best ways to generate inbound leads as a B2B company. We know these work because I'm going to show you them in action, and we've won a ton of awards for this stuff. But anyway, let's start with you. Quick question. Where do you go when you need to find a new supplier? Or if you need to solve a tricky problem? Google, obviously. Newsflash, you're not the only person. People go to Google when they need to find something. And that's why you need to be found. That's why your B2B website needs to be ranking prominently on Google. And that's why SEO can be so profitable for B2B companies. But there's a few different ways that you can use SEO to get inbound leads. Let's go through them. Way number 1 is to firstly work out if your target audience is using industry-specific terms. If they are, you can laser target them. Let me give you an example. One of our clients sells a relatively niche product. It's visitor management software. So this is software that manages people who come in and go out of a building. Now, our ninjas spotted that this client's customers were searching for some really specific stuff. Stuff like visitor management software for hospitals and visitor management software for schools. Yay, great find, ninjas. The problem was, though, that some of these phrases had really low search volume, sometimes as low as 30 searches per month. Our clients' competitors weren't even bothering with some of these searches. They were just too small for them to care about. But we ninjas, we spotted money. These phrases had high commercial intent, i.e. the people searching for them wanted to buy and wanted to buy right now. Companies were bidding 14 to 17 pounds per click. That's around $20. So whilst their competitors were fighting it out over really high volume but very general and untargeted search terms, we slid under the radar, built out content for these terms, and got the rankings that we wanted. And even though the search volumes were low, because of the quality of this traffic, we built a £2.7 million pipeline for them for an investment of around £74,000. That's 36 times ROI, and it came from being very specific about who we wanted to target, prioritizing quality over quantity. Keep that thought. We'll come back to it later. Your action then. If you're selling to specific industries or markets, consider building pages on your website about how you serve those industries and get them ranked for those industry terms. If you're a commercial cleaning company, for example, get ranked for commercial cleaning company for factories. Now, whilst the search volume might be really low for some of these phrases, the quality of the traffic will be really high, and it'll be much easier to get ranking for these terms. You can also then run ads on Google or LinkedIn, driving people to these pages, knowing that the content on them is so targeted, you're going to get a much higher conversion rate than if you're just sending people to generic pages. B2B lead gen strategy using SEO number 2 is to bludgeon your competitors with massive amounts of content to make sure that you rank for really competitive commercial terms. Here's a not so secret secret. Most B2B companies have nowhere near enough information on the pages on their website for them to stand a chance of ranking. When they don't rank, they don't get leads. But wait, Tim, John Mueller from Google said, word count is not a ranking factor. Sure, word count on its own is not a ranking factor, so don't just stuff your pages with mountains of rubbish. However, quality is a ranking factor. For example, let's say that you're going to buy some event booking software. Which of these pages is more useful to you? This is page A. Loads of information, demos, clients, support, all that good stuff. Or page B. Yeah, not much there. Now, of course, it won't surprise you that page A outranks page B because it's got loads more information, but it'll also outconvert page B because it's got all the answers to the customer's questions, it's got all the objection handling stuff, the credibility triggers that we've talked about in other videos. And we've used this exact strategy to help another one of our B2B clients rank position 1 on Google for 138 different keywords. Ah, yeah. We got some position 2s, but we're working on them. By building these pages out with more content on them than the competitors, it gives us a much better chance of ranking, as well as converting more of the traffic that they get to these pages into leads. We also built out a huge blog for them, and we got them featured in loads of industry publications for links, which we'll come back to later. So your action: review the pages on your website that sell your thing, whatever your thing is. Do they answer all of the questions that someone might have about you? Do they show your thing in action? Do they explain who might benefit from your thing and how? If not, you know what to do. Before we go on, I want to tell you a little B2B marketing story. In 2013, I sat in a dark, cramped office in Bristol with a miserable business consultant in a cheap suit who told me that
no one will ever trust a company called Exposure Ninja.
And that was before we started putting these shinobis everywhere. That consultant held the common but mistaken belief that in order to be credible, you must be boring. No! There are loads of ways to build credibility. Demonstrate your your expertise, build a large audience. You can build credibility through great design, build credibility through your personality, if you've got any. Being boring is not a selling point. Just because you might be selling to a person on behalf of a company doesn't mean that you need to be boring. In fact, I can prove it. How? Well, because some of the world's largest companies have asked Exposure Ninja for our digital marketing help through our world famous free website and marketing review. They've gone to exposureninja.com/review and filled in a form so that we can help them generate more leads and sales through their website, completely free of charge. You should probably do that too, right now.
Stop wasting time applying for jobs on LinkedIn or Naukri or other online job portals. You know why? Because HR
B2B inbound lead marketing strategy number 3 is to build a huge pipeline through targeted top of funnel content. It's very rare that a high growth B2B digital marketing campaign we run won't include some top of funnel content, and here's why. With a fixed pool of potential customers that are ready to buy at any time, B2B marketers usually want to get people at all stages of the buyer journey onto their website. This allows them to, of course, pick up the visitors that are right at the bottom of the funnel who are ready to make a purchase now. But it also allows them to shape the decisions of the people further up the funnel so that they can eventually turn into customers later on. Let me give you an example. We work with a well-known client that sells accreditation. There was a big change coming to their market where this new accreditation was going to be rolled out. The bad news was that this was going to open them up to more competitors than they'd ever faced before. Fortunately though, we decided to use this new accreditation as an opportunity. We built and ranked pages on the client's website optimized for the new accreditation. This allowed us to pick up the really bottom of funnel traffic and get them to convert on our client's website instead. But we also identified that loads of people in this space were asking questions about this new accreditation. How is it going to work? Who's it for? So as well as targeting bottom of funnel traffic, we built out top of funnel content and mid funnel content, also targeting these phrases, driving the traffic to our client's site. We dominated Google for search terms around this new accreditation, and it led to a massive increase in non-branded traffic for the client. Now, of course, each of these different funnel stages is going to need a different call to action on your website, but we'll come back to that later on. Your action, watch the content marketing playbook video that shows you how to do this. We'll link it to you at the end. B2B inbound lead strategy for getting more leads through digital marketing number 4 is to get your company featured in industry publications. This is amazing for thought leadership, but it's also a fantastic way of getting links, which helps your SEO. Now, here's the totally dead 3-step strategy that most businesses use to try and get coverage in industry publications. Step 1, make a press release about the most boring thing that you can find. Bob got promoted to director! But sad times, the offside rear bearing on Andrea's car seized up. Step 2, send out the press release once, and then again. Step 3, give up, naturally. I think we can do better. If you want to get coverage for your B2B company, it's a good idea to start off with something to say. For a B2B client of ours, we conducted a survey of some of their customers about the impact of COVID on their business. We worked with them to put this massive piece of work together and start promoting it across the industry. This type of industry-specific data is really interesting to others in their industry. So when we started reaching out to industry publications, we got a lot of traction with this. But because this was genuinely interesting information, it also started picking up links from further afield, including from Deloitte. Links like this can be huge for a website's authority and credibility, and over time can really help ranking. So your action then, think through what information or knowledge do you have which the publications that your target audience reads might find interesting. You can then reach out to them, pitch this, and when you get featured, you're getting in front of your target audience. A little bit of thought leadership never did anybody any harm.
दोस्तों, क्या आपके MS ऑफिस सॉफ्टवेयर के अंदर ये वाला ऑप्शन है? ध्यान से देखो, इसे कहते हैं को पायलट। मैं गारंटी के साथ बोल रहा हूं कि आपके पास नहीं होगा। ये आपके पास कब आएगा? 5 साल बाद।
B2B marketing inbound lead generation strategy number 5, squeeze the email marketing juice. With B2B sales cycles typically taking much longer than B2C, you might need to keep a customer warm for weeks, months, even years before they're ready to buy. We had someone become a client of Exposure Ninja 6 years after they first found us. They were reading our blogs, watching our videos, listening to our podcast every week for 6 years before they were ready. Setting up automations in your email marketing system can be a great way of keeping these prospects warm on autopilot so you don't have to manually keep sending them stuff. So here's how we do it at Exposure Ninja. When a new lead comes in, we'll send them a series of carefully crafted emails designed to keep them warm and introduce them to Exposure Ninja. Once they move into the next pipeline stage, we'll stop this first sequence and we'll start the second sequence. Because the lead is warmer, we'll send them stuff like case studies and testimonials. Once we've sent them a proposal, we'll stop this second sequence and we'll begin an automatic proposal follow-up sequence, and so on and so on. So not only does this make sure that nobody ever forgets to follow up with a lead, but it also means that your sales team can process far more leads than if they were doing all of this stuff manually every time. So your action is to map out your sales funnel and design email automations that can be triggered as prospects go from stage to stage. You're going to create your emails based on how far through the process your audience is, the sorts of questions and information that they're going to need at each stage. And by the way, if you want help with this is exactly the sort of stuff that we do for clients. So you can drop us a message through exposureninja.com. B2B inbound lead generation marketing strategy numero 6 is tune your website for conversions. Above anything else, your website is your primary marketing asset, and more than anything defines the success or failure of your B2B lead generation, because it's where most, if not all, of your leads are going to come through. So what makes an effective B2B website? Any effective B2B website needs to hit your target audience right between the eyes. Remember, in B2B, it's all about quality over quantity. So when your perfect customer lands on your site, they need to be sufficiently motivated to take action. For example, we've worked with software company Clear Review, working with them since before they were founded all the way through to a multi-8-figure exit. And you'll notice their website hits their target audience right between the eyes. They're selling performance management software to HR professionals, and the headline, improve productivity, engage employees. This is exactly what their target customer really cares about. So there's no way that they can ignore this. Above the fold, this website tells you exactly what it is. It tells you exactly what it does. These little snippets here are also designed to resonate with the target audience. Their target audience is going to recognize at least one or two of these right between the eyes. Another company that does a great job of this is Salesforce. Now, whilst this landing page is kind of ugly and old school, one thing it does really well is match the target audience of this page, entrepreneurs, with the language and the benefits that it talks about. Notice how this page is talking about sustainable growth, boosting sales and accelerating your growth. That's because that's what entrepreneurial folk typically get excited about. Meanwhile, the language and the tone of their offering for service teams is completely different. Remember, service teams don't necessarily care about growth. Actually, it might be kind of annoying for them. So what does Salesforce talk about? Well, it talks about customer service. It talks about customer satisfaction, loyalty, customer service, resolution, agent productivity. This is stuff that service teams care about, straight between the eyes. Another effective strategy for B2B websites is to have calls to action at different levels. Not everyone is ready to become a lead, book a demo, talk to the sales team now. Other people will need much softer calls to action, which might feel lower risk. One of our clients sells chatbots. Now, we help them find the sectors that were most likely to value their chatbot service, and we built out dedicated pages with them. For example, this is the one for housing associations. Now, when you come onto this page, you might be ready to book a demo, in which case you can. But you might also not be ready, in which case you might want to download this ebook, The Ultimate Guide to Chatbots in Social Housing. That's great for someone who isn't quite ready to take the high commitment book a demo step yet. So as you can see, the key to getting inbound B2B leads through digital marketing is to get in front of your customer as they're moving through this decision-making process. In this video, I give you the content marketing playbook that you can use to do exactly this. We break down the funnel and we talk about the different types of content that you want to create for people at each different stage. And by the way, this is the exact playbook that we've used on
So this was the detailed video about the inbound techniques for lead generation of a B2B and B2C, so that if anybody of you from any of the B2B and B2C division, you will be able to see and implement these strategies. So in today's session, we talked about the sales, the process in detail, FAB approach, spin approach, and of course we talked about the objection handling, the closing the sales and the trial close. Sales process is finished. Now in the next lecture we will talk about the sales theories, and then we will discuss about sales forecasting methods. So till then, bye bye. Thank you so much, everyone.